Coming out of high school, Eric Collins was a 5-star recruit that had an offer to almost every single Division I college. After nearly breaking every Ohio high school football record, he wanted to team up with a quarterback that knew that would get him the ball and get him in open space, and he had one school in mind despite getting every offer. After a long thought process, Eric Collins ended up deciding with the TCU Horned Frogs, where he would be catching passes from Max Duggan and also playing alongside Quentin Johnson. This was the easy fit for him. After losing last year's championship game to the Georgia Bulldogs, Eric Collins knew that he could help this team out a lot, and he was excited to get into practice to build some chemistry with the new quarterback Max Duggan and also run routes alongside Quentin Johnston. He knew this team could be lethal on offense. After a lot of hard work in the offseason and a lot of practice and chemistry building, we will be taking on the LSU Tigers in game number 1. Playing against a very good team, we have to be very good on offense as we find ourselves wide open for our first catch ever, but we're going to get knocked to the floor and we are getting welcomed to the big leagues. Later in the drive, we're looking to score our first touchdown ever and we would get a chance to, but we would drop it. But on the next very play, we would juke out the defender to the outside and score our first ever collegiate touchdown. On the next drive, we would beat our man one-on-one all the way to the outside, but we ran it way too wide and the safety was able to play it and get an interception on Max Duggan. With our defense playing really well and keeping LSU to only 3 points, we would look to heat up on offense and build upon this lead. As we would catch a ball right there, we would find ourselves wide open on the next play in the back of the end zone, and this TCU offense is on fire. Now leading by 11 in the third quarter, we're looking to attack the sidelines right here where we would break a tackle and almost take it all the way, but Eric Collins would fall funny and have an injury to his back. Eric Collins would go on to get ruled out for the rest of the game due to minor back spasms, but TCU would go up 1-0 on the season rankings, and Eric Collins would finish with 10 receptions and 111 yards and 2 touchdowns. Despite a huge blowout victory against a great LSU team, we still found ourselves outside the top 25 polls, and we had to keep a winning streak alive to get moved up. In week number 2, we would be taking on a small FCS school where Eric Collins would dominate once again with another multi-touchdown game. Not as many yards this game, but TCU would still end up taking a dub to move up to 2-0. We would be taking on a much better opponent in week 3, taking on Texas Tech. We need to keep our A game up. On the first play of offense, we were supposed to run a corner out, but we found a wide open seam, and Max Duggan noticed it right away, and Eric Collins would find himself wide open down the sideline for an easy 63-yard touchdown, and that's the best way you could start off a match. Every time I found zone, me and Max Duggan's chemistry was so great together that he knew I would find the open spot every single time as we take another big play inside the 10-yard line. We wouldn't receive a passing attempt until late in the second quarter where we would make a double team catch right here and then break an in route all the way to the middle and go for another 23 yards, and we are heating up once again. Late in the third quarter, we were called upon to run a wheel route against this defender, and we would catch it over top of him, and Eric Collins went again for a 32-yard reception, and he is showing why he was the #1 receiver coming out of high school. After another blowout win against another Big 12 opponent, we are looking like one of the best offensive teams in college football as Eric Collins finishes with 199 yards and 1 touchdown, almost video game-like numbers. After starting off the season undefeated and being 3-0, we felt like we were super underrated as we were currently left outside the top 25 taking on SMU in week number 4. We would start off the game very hot as we would get hit down the seam, and it almost looked like Eric Collins could take it all the way, and we were starting off this game on fire. Later in that first drive, we wouldn't get the ball here, but our running back would absolutely go off and take it for a 30-yard touchdown himself on a 4th and inches. Our defense would continue to get stops, and our offense is unguardable right now as Eric Collins would take a post route to the middle, and this team looks like they cannot be stopped. Trying to put some more points on the board to build this lead even larger, we're going to catch a huge post route over the middle once again, and on the next play, Max Duggan would find us behind the corner, and we would take it all the way inside the 15-yard line. Looking to cap off this great offensive drive with a touchdown, Max Duggan's going to target us, but we're not going to complete it, and we're going to have to settle for 3. This was Eric Collins' by far best college performance yet, as he would catch another ball over the middle, and on the next play, he would have an off-ball breaking route to the outside where he would get wide open, beat his man to the corner, but get chased down all the way to the 1-yard line. We would coast to an easy victory as our offense can still not be stopped even in week 4. We are going to have our best game yet with 252 yards and 3 touchdowns. After now having 4 amazing straight weeks, we maybe thought we might have snuck into that Heisman watch, but we are still left off of it. After the huge week against SMU, we did end up getting the Big 12 Player of the Week on offense, and we will be taking on a tough opponent, the #2 ranked Oklahoma Sooners in week 5. Eric Collins would start on offense as he would have a great corner route to open up the game, but on the next play, we are trying to beat the jam, and we got jammed into the dirt, and the corner is going to pick it off on top of it, and this is a bad way to start against one of the best teams in the nation. Luckily, our defense would get a stop off of our turnover, and we're looking to make up for it on this next play, catching a huge ball down the sideline. On a 3rd and 10, we're trying to put the first points up on the board this game, and Eric Collins would make a grab on the sideline, but he would go down and get injured again with another back injury. Eric Collins had to watch the rest of the game from the sideline, but TCU's offense would score with 18 seconds left to take a 7-point lead, and Oklahoma would chuck up a Hail Mary that would get intercepted to win us the game. With a huge win against Oklahoma, we are definitely looking to move into that top 25, but Eric Collins Collins might have a severe injury. With a huge win against Oklahoma, TCU would move up to number 16 inside of the top 25 polls, but Eric Collins would get ruled out for the next game against Kansas with back spasms. With Eric Collins missing the game against Kansas, we would lose a heartbreaker 31-28, and Kansas remains undefeated at 5-0. After a devastating loss, we would get moved down to number 24 in the rankings, but we would have a chance to bounce back against another top 3 rated team in Oklahoma State. With his return back to football, Eric Collins would start off the game amazingly, getting a huge catch over the defense, and that was a risky ball. On a 1st and goal, Max Duggan would throw it to us, but it seems like we have a little bit of chemistry off after missing a game. Our offense would end up scoring, and our defense would get a stop, so Eric Collins is doing all he can to get up a double possession on this drive. We are absolutely dominating Oklahoma State this game on offense so far, as Eric Collins would have another big gain over the middle, and it feels like he hasn't even missed a single snap yet this year. The second drive felt like basically the Eric Collins drive, as he catches another post route over the middle and jukes out 2 of the Oklahoma State defenders and has his first touchdown of the game. In the next drive, our coach would try to utilize us in different ways, and we would get our first jet sweep of the season, getting it for a nice little 9 yards. Eric Collins wouldn't touch the ball again until the 3rd quarter, where we were still leading by 11 points, and a delayed slant would get us all the way up to a 20-yard gain. TCU offense would just punch in the rock right here, and we would take a 21-3 lead on the number 3 ranked team, and this is looking like a blowout. Oklahoma State would make a comeback, and they would be only down 7 points, but on a 3rd and 2 to get the first down to win the game, Eric Collins would take a screen all the way, and he would have his biggest play of the season yet, and this would go on to be our second opponent ranked in the top 3. After coming back from back injury, Eric Collins had one of his best games of the season as he finished with 247 yards and 2 touchdowns. He is basically averaging video game numbers. After knocking off the number 3 seed, we did end up moving from 24 up to 13, and TCU is on a roll now. We want to continue our winning streak after beating Oklahoma State. We are taking on another top-ranked team right here in Texas, and we're going to go for a big play on the first drive of the game as we take a hit and also hold on. Eric Collins wouldn't have his second catch until 52 seconds left in the 2nd quarter, and he's looking to take this drag route for around 20 yards. After that late first half catch, we are starting to heat up as our quarterback would find us wide open in the middle of the field, and we'd get inside of the 20-yard line and then later punch it in for a touchdown, and we take the lead right before the half. Eric Collins would continue to dominate in the 2nd half as he has another big play to get our offense inside of the 5-yard line, where we would later rush the ball in. Continuing our dominance, we are now up 10 points, and Eric Collins would take a bubble screen all the way for 10 yards, and on the next play, instead of running a corner route, we cut it to the inside, and we got our team back inside the 5-yard line. Our offense would only come away with 3 points in that drive, but we are trying to get the game over right now with a big play after the catch as Eric Collins is breaking tackles, swerving out people, and we are inside of the enemy territory. That big play would be enough to take out another ranked opponent, and Eric Collins is looking like one of the best wide receivers in the nation. After taking out the 3rd ranked opponent of the season, we now have moved officially into the top 10, and TCU can make a push for the college football playoffs here. Now sitting on a win streak, we need to go take care of this 4-4 West Virginia team as Eric Collins would score on the first drive of the game, and on the second drive, take a corner out for around 20 to 25 yards. This is looking like a great performance already. It almost felt like nobody was trying to guard us out there as Eric Collins would find himself wide open all game. On the same play back to back, he would score as well. Eric Collins already has 2 touchdowns in the game, but he would look to find his 3rd here as Max Duggan would hit him behind the corner's head, and we would score our 3rd touchdown of the first half, and we would later coast on to win an easy game against a 4-4 West Virginia team. After a 3-touchdown performance, Eric Collins would find himself on top of the Heisman watch, and he is looking to be one of the first wide receivers since Devontae Smith to win the reward. In our next game against Iowa State, we were only up by 3 points on a crucial 3rd and 1, and Max Duggan will target us on a corner route in which we will not be able to get our hands on the ball to pull it in. But on the next play on a 4th and 1, Max Duggan will take a quarterback draw up the middle to clutch our 9th win of the season. With only 2 games left in the year, we need to have some big wins so we can maybe make a miracle push for the college football playoffs as Eric Collins hauls in a big catch to start off, and our wide receiver teammate would be going crazy over the middle, and we would later punch it in to start off this game hot against Kansas State. With winning the Heisman on the back of his mind, Eric Collins felt like he had to do everything this game to keep his hot streak going as he would find himself back on the 2-yard line and score his first touchdown in the game on the very next play. We would end up taking out Kansas State to pick up our 10th win of the season, and Eric Collins would end with a very nice game, ending with 147 yards and 2 touchdowns. In our last game of the season, we would be taking on the number 3 rated Baylor Bears, so this would be our 3rd matchup against a top 3 rated opponent, and this is going to be a huge win for any chance of us making the college football playoffs. With our last game of the season being against the number 3 rated team, we are looking to move from 5 up to number 2 to make the college football playoffs, and Eric Collins is doing everything he can. Looking to convert a 3rd and 9, our quarterback would just chuck it up to us, but we could not come down with it. it, and this would later lead to a touchdown from Baylor. Our offense would need to put up points this game as we would make a crazy acrobatic catch over the middle that would later lead to a touchdown, and we would tie this game up at 7 apiece. Baylor's offense would continue to score, and Max Duggan would take a crucial sack on 2nd and 10, and then on 3rd and 18, he is looking to target us on this corner route, but we would drop a crucial play in the game, and this is not looking good. Luckily, Baylor couldn't score after we turned it over on downs, and Eric Collins is going to have one of his biggest plays of the season yet, catching the ball in front of the safety and turning on the Jets, but Quentin Johnston would run right into us, and we would not score the touchdown. We would only score 3 points after running into Quentin Johnston, and on the next drive on a 2nd and 10, we would have a crucial drop and get substituted out for the 3rd down. Now trailing by 11 points, almost in the 4th quarter, we need to spark some offense here as Eric Collins would have a great catch, but on a 3rd and 21, we need something to turn over here, and we are not going to get the ball, and Eric Collins is frustrated. Trailing by 12 points with only 1 minute and 50 seconds left, we need a miracle on offense as we would have our toes out of bounds, and on a crucial 4th and 3, we would not be able to convert, and that would be the game against Baylor. Eric Collins and the TCU Horned Frogs fell short this season, as next season they would like to target getting a Heisman and also making it to a college football playoffs. But if you enjoyed this journey so far, make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that like button as we have way more RTGs to come.